The truth no one tells. Real men. There's a strange kind of heartbreak no one talks about. Not the kind where she cheats, not the kind where she lies, but the one where she walks away from a man who did everything right. You were honest, loyal, steady. You gave her safety when she was chaotic. You gave her attention when she was insecure. You gave her silence when she needed peace. And still she left. No explanation, no apology, just distance. And you, the man who tried to love purely, are left questioning your own worth. But here's the brutal truth. Sometimes you're not rejected because you're weak. You're rejected because your presence exposes what she's not ready to face in herself. This is not a video about blaming women. It's about understanding why some women push away the very man they claim they always wanted. This is about the unloved strong man, the stoic heart, and the silent truth behind being too good to be loved in a world addicted to dysfunction. Let's go deeper. Part 1. Why real masculinity feels boring to a wounded woman. Let me hit you with a truth that stings. Some women are so used to chaos, they see peace as punishment. If her emotional world was built around drama, toxic exes, games, jealousy, fights, then your calmness, your emotional control feels foreign. You text back without games. You show up when you say you will. You don't make her chase. She doesn't know what to do with that. To a wounded woman, love isn't safety. Love is anxiety, uncertainty, the high of winning someone over. So when you offer consistency, she confuses it with lack of passion. That's not your fault, but it becomes your pain. And that's where most men start spiraling. Part 2. The masculine frame is misunderstood, even punished. You were told to be strong, grounded, focused, unshakable. But the moment you showed that strength, she said you were emotionally unavailable. She called your silence cold. She mistook your calm for indifference. Understand this. You are not broken for being masculine. You are not wrong for choosing purpose over emotional drama. The problem is, many modern women were never taught what real masculinity looks like. They confuse chaos with chemistry and silence with lack of care. But here's the truth. Your frame is not the issue. Her inability to recognize your value is. And one day, when the dust settles, she'll feel the absence of your calm like a storm she can't escape. Part 3. 7 signs you're too good for her emotional maturity. Let's go deeper. Here are 7 subtle signs that a woman is rejecting your love, not because of what you lack, but because of how whole you are. 1. She creates distance after vulnerability. You opened up once. You showed her your depth. And instead of feeling closer, she grew colder. Why? Because true intimacy exposes wounds she's not ready to face. 2. She's uncomfortable with your silence. You don't overshare. You don't need to dominate conversations. You're present, not performative. And that presence unsettles her, because most men she's met overcompensate. You don't. And that makes her confront her own noise. 3. She picks fights for no reason. Your calmness is like a mirror, and when she sees no reaction, she starts to provoke. Not because she hates you, but because she's trying to feel something familiar. Chaos. 4. She confuses passion with pain. She grew up associating love with anxiety. So when you give her peace, she doesn't feel it as love, she feels it as boredom. You're not boring. She's just never known real emotional safety. 5. She can't accept love without earning it. You gave without keeping score. She's never had that, so instead of receiving it, she questions it. What's the catch? What do you want in return? And eventually, she walks away not because of you, but because of how deeply you made her feel. 6. She becomes emotionally guarded when you're emotionally available. Your availability, your emotional clarity makes her feel exposed. She's used to men who chase, not men who hold space. And that quiet strength, it's terrifying to someone who hasn't healed. 7. She comes back after you stop caring. The moment you detach, she returns. Not because she's changed, but because your distance forces her to face her own emptiness. You were never the villain. You were the mirror. Part 4. What Stoicism teaches you about being too good. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is the core of Stoicism. You don't become softer to be accepted. You don't shrink to be chosen. You remain grounded even when it costs you. Because the truth is, being too good isn't the problem. Being good in a world that fears emotional maturity, that's the tension. And here's the paradox. The stronger you become, the fewer people will be able to meet you where you are. That's not loneliness, that's elevation. Part 5. What to do when she leaves a real man. So what do? You don't chase. You don't prove. You don't get bitter. You rise. You double down on your mission. You get sharper, calmer, colder. Not for revenge, but because the highest form of respect is choosing yourself when others couldn't. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." You become free, not when she loves you again, but when her absence no longer shakes your core. Part 6. You were never the problem. She just couldn't handle depth. Here's the closure you'll never get in words. She walked away not because you lacked something, but because you had too much. Too much emotional clarity. Too much presence. Too much truth. And that truth? It's unbearable for someone who's still living in denial. Let her go. Let her downgrade. Let her date the noise. Because one day she'll remember the silence, your steady hands, your quiet strength. And when she does, you won't be there. You'll have become a man so centered that her return would feel like a step backward. Final message to the man watching this: don't doubt your power just because she couldn't feel it. Don't question your worth just because she couldn't see it. You were never too good. You were just the wake-up call she wasn't ready for. And the world may not applaud your discipline. Women may not always stay when you love with stability, but real men don't perform. They remain. So stay calm, stay solid, stay grounded, because the rarest men are not the loudest. They are the ones who can stand alone and still feel whole. That's Stoicism. That's power. That's the unreactive male. Comment: I remain calm if this spoke to you. Subscribe for more Stoic masculine wisdom.